Guys, we are live. I'm here with Nikola and host of Singularity FM, where he interviews the future. We're going to talk about the podcast that he does. We're going to talk about materialism in general, veganism, the importance of science, the importance of having good conversations, and we're going to talk about our April Fool's prank. All right? Dave, roll the clip. Roll it.
Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
From Kenwood Studios, Toronto.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
You're listening to the Fade to Brown podcast with Amish Patel.
F***ing thing sucks.
In a polarized world of black and white, you need brown.
Hey, everybody. My name is Amish Patel. I'm here with Nikola and host of... My name is Amish Patel, and you're watching the Fade to Brown podcast. Sorry, I read the wrong part. In a polarized world of black and white, you need brown. And I give it to you right here every week from my bedroom. If you guys enjoy the show, there's 3 ways you can support us. One, support our sponsor, Glory of India. They make incredible Indian food. Nicola, you can attest to that,
I
right?
can totally vouch for that. Fantastic food.
The best food. It's so good. And tell them Fade to Brown sent you to get a 10% discount. Another thing you can do to help us is do all the social media stuff, like the page. If you hear something that you want to jump in on the conversation on, leave that comment in the comment section. We can read it right here, and tell a friend about the show if you enjoy it as well. And then the other thing you can do, I can turn off my sound, but the other thing you can do, that's supposed, yeah. The other thing you can do is support me by coming out to see me live, hiring me as a speaker for like weddings, corporate events. I can do all that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But today, my guest is Nikola Danilov, host and creator of Singularity FM, a podcast where he interviews the future. Nikola, tell us about your podcast.
Well, basically, my podcast is set up in a form of a Socratic dialogue where the goal is to create a symposium where I lay out all the future possibilities for you, from the worst possible future to the best possible future. And then if I've actually done my job right, I would act as a midwife, and you would be actually the ones to give birth to your own ideas. So I'm not the one to actually teach you anything myself. I'm not the one to actually brainwash you with any kind of idea. I just lay out all the possibilities for you and hopefully create the incentive, the desire, and the inspiration for you to pick the best ideas and the best possible future and to make it happen. And again, as I said, I would at best act as an intellectual midwife.
You're a vessel.
To you. I am the tool, if you will.
The tool, yes.
To you giving birth to your own ideas.
Wow.
and pursuing them, hopefully.
That's great. I like that you put it in those terms of like giving birth, midwife.
This is what Socrates did back in the day. And, that's the meaning of the word symposium. What it actually means is, and we've kind of lost the meaning of that word, is a drinking party. Is a party where people get together to enjoy some good food, some good drink, and in a very relaxed and laid-back atmosphere to discuss very important topics like ethics, aesthetics, law, politics, war, religion, beauty, poetry, love, friendship, etc. And at the end of the night, if the host has done their job right, people live with a new awareness and the new understanding of the intricacies of the topic.
They have a new baby.
Intellectually speaking.
They have a new intellectual baby that people like you help them give birth to it. That's great. That's so much more fun than getting wasted.
Or to actually tell people what to do and what to think.
Because
the whole point is that you are the only one who could have the authority of thinking for yourself, and that's how it should be, by the way, right? And it's one thing to just tell you do this and don't do that, and then there is no intellectual capacity, labor. There's not even a conviction on your own part because you're just following orders.
It's just like a baby. You have to give birth to your new ideas. And
right.
You have to,
first discover it, then test it, and then embrace it. And then your belief in that process actually becomes a conviction.
That's great.
And that's why, for example, Socrates gave birth to all those philosophical schools after him, like hedonists, the Stoic, the Epicureans, the hedonists, a bunch of other schools, the Platonists.
I was going to say Plato was his student?
Of course.
Right.
Plato was his best student, of course. And so all those diverse philosophical schools were birthed from those kinds of symposiums.
So they're getting together, getting wasted. I love that about Greece. I love that it's like, but here we do this thing where we're like, drinking is for, like, don't think. Like, it's Friday. People say things like, I don't want to talk about work. It's Friday. It's like, it's like you go drinking. It's like, don't think. The music's so loud in Toronto when you go out.
Right.
Like dancing is fun.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to be so loud. And like I got to scream at someone to have a conversation. And it just seems like a weird direction we've gone in with just how we go out. Like, why do we have to go out like this? Why can't we go out and have an intellectual conversation?
That's why you have to pick the place for the goal that you're setting up yourself. If you want to dance and if you want to go out with a couple of friends and dance, that's
Fine.
awesome. But if you want to have like a stimulating conversation, it's best to pick up a place with like a lower kind of tone background music where you can enjoy the company, enjoy the meal, and fully kind of immerse yourself into that kind of friendship. And friendly conversation and sort of get that new sort of momentum forward and new learning and new connecting with your friends.
Yeah. I do comedy in a lot of weed rooms, and it seems like they're into that. Well, if you think about it though, there should be as many weed rooms as there are alcohol.
But isn't that
alcohol
cheating
makes
a
you
little
fight.
bit though? But isn't that
The
cheating
weed is
a
cheating,
little
you think?
Right, because,
Yeah.
because people would laugh even if you're not too funny. I mean, that's making
they
your
don't
job
laugh.
easier. Or they're not going to laugh even if you're too funny.
No, they don't laugh ever.
So, okay.
It really is like a symposium. You got to come one night.
Okay.
You and Dave, you guys both got to come. I did share I shared it. Yeah. You guys got to come out one night because we do the Vapor Central show. They just sit there and listen. Like you go up. Some people get laughs. Most people don't get laughs. You're having to talk in front of people. You should come do it.
Okay,
You can get on the show for sure.
All right.
I mean, it's a comedy show, but still, you can. Nobody's laughing at anything, so you just say you're a comic.
That's cool. Now, I'll be very serious and not
Yeah.
not laugh at myself. Is that not cool?
That's cool too. That's funny. It's like you can be a character who's like, I'm trying comedy today, and just do like.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be the serious futurist
Yeah.
/ scientist / logic kind of guy.
How about you do a joke and then say that was quite humorous. You should be laughing. Clearly, your intelligence level, and then like just do
Yeah.
your jokes like that.
to get my joke, you need IQ of 150 or
Oh,
up.
you do. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
So you guys, your brains are
if
too
you,
damaged.
if you guys don't laugh, you know what's the reason, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, though. They do respond, like that Vapor Central room, it responds very well to science philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
They're stoned in that sense, though,
Right.
too. They're stoned, and they're like, oh, cool, man. Like, you bring up, like, a philosopher or, like, Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, and they're just like, oh, yeah. They're
Yeah.
listening, but you're not. You may
I'm a
not
big
get
fan
laughs.
of Alan Watts.
Alan Watts is the king,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is you make a bold claim for your podcast, Singularity FM. The claim is that you interview the future. Now you have interviewed Michio Kaku. That's great. Ray Kurzweil. Fantastic. Noam Chomsky. Hey, these are big names.
Yes.
Okay, these are big names.
Yes.
But the reason why we brought you on here, we're very excited about an interview you did with a scientist named Mr. Patel. And that's
Dr. Patel. Don't ever make that mistake or you're going to, have the wrath of Dr. Patel, which I suffered personally, and I do
Yeah.
not want anyone else to have to endure that. I
Yeah,
promise.
we don't want anyone to injure. I'm
It's
so sorry.
too much.
Dr. Patel.
Very
Uh,
important detail.
let's-
Never make that mistake.
I think we have a clip of you making that mistake. I can't believe it.
Okay.
You made this mistake,
Yes.
and we have his response. Dave, can you play that?
I can. Here we go.
All right.
Well, my name is Dr. Patel. I'm Sir Isaac Newton Chair of Cosmology and Quantum Mechanics at the India Institutes of Technology. It's in Mumbai, so we call it MIIT.
Dr. Patel, that's perhaps a fascinating coincidence or not.
I love how you're like, that's a great coincidence, or not. Yeah, that was a fun clip. That was fun doing it. That was an April Fool's joke that we did.
I had a total blast
I
doing
had
it,
such a blast
gotta
doing
say.
it.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful. It was like a piece of art. Like it feels
Yeah.
like we made art together.
We had
and we
a
made a baby.
We totally made
made a
a
baby.
funny intellectual baby, and it was a result of love and
Yeah.
of teamwork of you, me, and Dave, who's
Dave
there
Gibson,
behind
who's
the
behind the
camera,
camera, yeah.
who's
Who directed and
incredible,
shot it, yeah.
crucial contribution we have to
Huge,
acknowledge.
huge, yeah.
Right, it would not have ever
Edited,
happened
ugh.
without Dave.
Yeah.
So it was a total blast.
It was a
and
blast.
I already have people requesting. I have a follow-up interview with Dr. Patel
I know.
next April Fools.
Yeah, we got to keep on
Right.
fighting. Oh wow! And next April Fool's, nice. Yeah, I don't think we've put out anything that has that much of a response, or like just a standalone video. The response is like I got so many people responding to it. You had so many great comments.
Absolutely.
I think we should read a couple. I mean, these are really good. So, Dave, can you put up the first one?
Yeah. Which one would you like? Number one?
Yeah.
There we go.
So, the Tube Portal says, when I decided to watch the podcast, I thought this was legit and was truly interested. But once he was introduced, that barely hidden smirk gave it away. Then when he insisted, "My name is Dr. Patel," I fell on the floor, gasping for air, and suddenly I rounded pi to 3 and got it. Happy AFP. Socrates, LOL, XD. That's hilarious. The Tube Portal said that. Thanks for the comment. I wish I could say your real name. The Tube Portal. Do you know that person?
No, I'm sorry.
Well,
sorry.
they know you. They're like happy AFD, Socrates, LOL, XD. So
Yeah.
XD, I don't know what name is XD.
But the key here, though, is that we actually, it seems we pasted right.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't tell off the joke at the very beginning, right? So we had to pace it and sort of crank up the
Yeah.
volume of humor
Slowly.
as we progress forward in the interview until it gets to a point where
Yeah.
it's kind of almost ridiculous, but yet without sort of breaking that line, hopefully.
Yes. And I like that we got a couple of people.
Yes.
So Dave, put up the second one. O2.
Who say that we accomplish exactly that.
Yes, this next person, we clearly accomplish it because okay. So Nicholas Montague, good. He says, "Good. You should be good. You should be scared. Everyone should be scared. Don't interrupt me like this. Ha ha ha. Amish is too smart for his own good. It's frustrating now, limiting in his understanding of nature / reality / multiverse. He chooses to be to his restricting and fearful beliefs, ego, and testosterone bout. He is very intelligent, but also very ignorant. But I get it. So he is young, and it is necessary, but he'll learn, just like everyone else. Read Lee Smolin and John Smart. Buco Nero, Buco Bianco. Thank you, Nikola." Like, here's what I love about this guy, okay? This is a guy who's sitting there going, I'm going to let him know. Like, he's just like, responding like, you are very ignorant, sir. But it's good that you are trying this. You're young, you're full of testosterone, but read Lee Smolin and John Smart, and you'll learn something.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing for me because, my blogging name is actually Socrates.
Yeah.
So if I know one thing, that is the fact that I don't know, right? But the thing is that people don't know that they don't know, and that's why they think they actually know, which is where the biggest mistake we usually make is. Right. So it's much more important to start from a point of ignorance, from what Buddhists call beginner's mind, rather than from knowledge. Because if you start from a full cup, there's no space to add anything else in it. But
true.
if you start with an empty cup, then you're able to take a lot of knowledge.
That's great. And so many things in our mind, so many people and so many things in our minds, like we compartmentalize and we say like, I know everything about this. And so any other opinion on it is like, excuse me, I think you should read John Smart, and you'll know. Like, it's like we can kind of fight that.
Yeah, and John Smart is indeed very smart, and I've interviewed him on my podcast. Great guy.
Okay, nice.
So I would stay by that recommendation.
Beautiful.
People should read John Smart, and a bunch of other people too.
Yeah.
Right? But again, we should even leave more space for opening for new ideas and new content to come.
Yeah. Okay, so we have another person that we tricked on this. Dave, do you want to do we keep going through the comments? Or
We
can
actually
go back and
have
forth
many
with videos?
people who we tricked. We tricked hundreds.
We tricked lots,
Yeah, hundreds.
Here's another person that I thought was funny that we tricked. Can you put the third one on, Dave?
Yeah.
So, Stare E says, "Mr. Socrates, I am so sorry you had to spend your resources on this, Mr. Patel." He wrote Mr. He should know better.
Yeah.
Stare E, I don't know if that's an
he
insult.
doesn't know what's coming for him.
He doesn't know. Dr. Patel is not going
Yeah.
to be happy about this.
Yeah.
Stare E. Okay, and then he continues to say, "So sad, he, Patel, seems to have lost his red stapler." Think Office Space movie. Okay? "A rebel without a cause, in a sense." And then he wrote, like, edit, and then it says edited. He wrote another one. "Mr. Patel is a presuppositionist. He claims to have evidence of the presence of a being that created our universe. The problem with that stance is that it introduces a complexity into the equation of our universe that quickly becomes unsurmountable. Such as, if there is a creator and there must be a creator, then in order for the creator to exist, it itself must have been created. Patel claims that the universe must be created by what is in effect a being that is invisible and immaterial. A being that is invisible and immaterial is indistinguishable from a being that does not exist. Also, what is telling of his presuppositionist position is how he became upset with the interviewer when asked for reasonable evidence of his claim."
In
All
other
good
words,
stuff.
very good stuff, because he says basically you don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and you presented no evidence
Yeah.
to back up your claims.
True.
Right? In other words, he got the hook really deep.
He got it. Like it.
right.
He
So-
bought it. And
so-
yeah.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. I love like just like that. That was so much fun with this. Is just catching people like that. Like that's hilarious.
Yes.
And it reminds me of religious arguments. It almost because when I was growing up, I'm Hindu, and Christians and Muslims would argue this stuff about Jesus, and they'd be like, "No, Jesus is our guy. No, he was reborn like that." And they'd have this nerd debate.
Right.
And then if I came in with like some Ganesh, they'd be like, "Hey, get out of here."
Get out with the elephant.
the elephant.
Kid.
The real religions are
God,
talking.
yeah.
Come on. And they'd have these debates, but he seems like one of those guys, like a presuppositionist. Like that's an insult on his, in his world, right?
And there were actually other commenters who advised that you actually read the Bible, by the way, to educate yourself.
Educate yourself by reading the Bible.
Show another little taste of the video.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Give them a little taste.
Sure.
Of
This is my favorite.
Sure.
So, do you have multiplying, Dave?
Yes.
Let's play that one.
Are you ready? There we go.
And now I can multiply anything.
Wait a minute. Wait. Now you're saying that you can actually multiply any two numbers?
Yes, this is what I'm saying. In a way,
Okay, so let's take 767 by 511, for example.
391,937.
Wow. Okay, let me double check this. All right. Okay, so let's do it one more time. If we take your number here that we just got, 391,937, and we multiply by 786,797.
308 billion, 374 million, 855,789.
Oh,
Where's my Oscar? Where do I get my Oscar?
I love that little.
Because when I gave that look, I forget that I was playing a character.
I'm in the
I
presence
forgot
of
and I
pure
thought it was
genius.
Another person. Yeah.
pure
When-
genius.
When he looks at the camera, when Dr. Patel, where's the
You
Oscar?
can see the genius in the eyes.
You can see the genius, the
Yes.
incredulous, like
the presence, the
this.
charisma, everything
beautiful.
is there.
it's all there. Hey, so I think one of our commenters, the guy who said XD, I think he's Billy Jimmy Lee. Is that true, Billy Jimmy D? Are you saying are you XD, the person who commented?
I don't think that's the same guy, because I know Billy. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
He's a good
Never mind.
guy.
All right, cool. Yo, thanks for the comment. Weed TED Talks. It's so that's what the Sunday show is telling you about. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's like Weed TED Talks, and because nobody laughs at the comments, you could slip in as a scientist and just do like a 5-minute. I don't think anyone would know. It's Stoner Sundays is a great show, man. Okay, let's do the next comment. This one we're getting a little. She was tricked, or he. I'm calling this person a she because they're working on a rose garden. That's sexist.
Well,
I'm sorry.
that's very sexist.
That's very sexist,
Don't
yeah.
do that, man.
Well, their name is Art Hole.
What? Come on.
So Art Hole combined with Role, I was like, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to get into the. Let's just read the comment. How about that? Trimming rose.
Focus on content. Forget about the rapper.
Stop
don't
trying
be
to
like
think-
everybody else.
Yeah.
Focus on
On the content. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Art Hole.
Don't judge
trimming
a book
bushes.
by the cover.
I'm not gonna do it. Okay, so this person says, Art Hole says, trimming rose bushes. Ouch, ouch. Had to pause the interview as it seemed to go off the rails, then started playing it again, struggling with dead pointy rose vines. And Patel says there is one number. Oh, please let it be 42. Come on, 42. Only then did it dawn on me. Laughing so hard. Best April Fools. Thank you, Art Hole. We appreciate it, man. That's great.
And the key point here is that it actually is not 42. So watch the interview to see.
Hey, Art Hole.
It's very important.
Man or woman, I don't care, okay? I don't care.
Don't round.
Don't round.
Never.
Never round.
Think what will happen if you round pi to 3. Okay?
Think about it, okay?
Civilization will collapse.
There's no podcast.
As we know it. Elon Musk will crash and die on the face of Mars. Do we want to do that to
Is that what
Elon
you want?
Musk?
Is that what you want? 42. Come on. Dave, let's go to the next one.
You bet.
This guy
We
has...
haven't done 4 yet.
Oh, we haven't done 4? Oh, my bad. Let's do 4. Follow-up. So Gord Dean says, follow-up comment. Just rewatched this interview 2 days later, and it is still brilliantly played.
Yeah, let me just say, hey Gord, you're awesome, man. I love you. He's the only guy who sends me old school hand typed letters, signed and everything. Like, the guy is awesome. He's
What a
been a
class
long-term fan of my podcast and a
Okay.
supporter. And Gord, I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. I'm happy we make you smile, and I'm happy you had to rewatch it a couple of times and you smiled even more afterwards. That's the whole point why we do it, buddy. And we do it for people like you. So thank you.
Gord, thank you so much. I'm also terrified at like how little the difference is between like a super fan and like a stalker. Someone sending you handwritten letters. I'm like, yo, Gord, I don't know what. It's like, you know what? If I had a stalker, I'd be like, thanks for watching the show, though. I appreciate it. But no,
they're
Gord,
hand signed, but they're typed on an old school typewriter.
you're a class act
Right?
or a serial
Totally
killer.
class act. Yeah.
Class act or a
Totally.
serial killer or both. And either way, I appreciate it.
No, I have to say I've only had one stalker so far, and
Okay.
that was a couple of years ago, and that did kind of give me
scary.
that really freaked me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, if someone wants to come and kill me, it takes them just 3 minutes to Google my home address, and they know where I live.
Okay.
Right. So it did really freak me out.
Gord's on the level.
So no, Gord is totally the other end. Gord is a cool guy.
Gord,
man.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gord goes on to say, after saying that it was brilliantly played, thank you, to Dr. Amish Patel. He put that in quotes. I don't know why. He writes, excellently portrayed, sir. Thank you.
Hey, now your British accent. Come on.
Yes.
No, that's the
Yeah,
wrong
no,
accent.
Too many accents now.
Yeah.
Okay, then he continues. He goes on to say, the first time through, there were a number of hints that gave me discomfort, particularly the do not interrupt comment, but not enough to question the entire interview until the number 41.14159265359 came along. Thank you, Gord, for putting the correct number.
For getting it right, as always.
Yes, he didn't just put 42 in there, he put the right number. Thank you.
He's missing a 9.
Oh, is he 9?
Oh yeah, and by the way, that's my fault because I had that typo in the beginning, and then someone warned me that I need to put the 9 there after
Yeah.
the comma so that I don't incur the wrath of Dr. Patel again. And so they saved my buns twice, right? And I had to correct it. So it's not Gord's fault. It's entirely my fault. But now it's been corrected though.
Gord, you are brilliant.
Yeah.
So he says, this time through, there are even more obvious hints to the hoax. How many giveaways have anyone else found?
And by the way,
So
let
many.
me just share with you guys here, or were we talking about that? Those are all real things that actually really happened to me during interviewing people. Did we have another comment to talk
Right.
about that?
So-
Clip for that.
So we have the
yeah.
clip for that.
Okay, so play the clip first, maybe.
Should we play the clip? Yeah,
Sure.
We're doing we haven't done the Johnny Depp one, and we have the face off. We're doing the face off.
Okay.
The face-off. Okay, the face-off has a bunch of like real moments.
Okay, here we
Yeah.
go.
Go for it.
Can you not see my points, though? I mean, Douglas Adams said that the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42. And that's kind of the same thing that you're talking about, isn't it?
No, you're not listening even, okay? It is not the answer to life, the universe, and everything, okay? It is the fundamental code at the heart of the universe. It's a very completely different thing.
But to me, sorry, that sounds like the very same thing to me.
No, you don't understand, okay? You don't understand because I understand quantum mechanics and you do not.
All right.
I'm a teacher. I teach it, actually, at MIIT.
Dr. Patel,
Are you a teacher?
no.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I didn't see anything.
I'm not an expert in quantum
I
mechanics.
didn't see even doctor in your name. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not an expert in quantum
I
mechanics.
can see that.
And I'm not a doctor even in philosophy.
I already know from talking to you.
Okay, I see. We're not. Yeah, and
Beauty.
so I just want to share with you guys that when we were scripting this show, the idea about a week before April Fools, actually those are all real things that actually happened to me.
Yeah.
So I did have a pretty well-known physicist and a mathematician tell me that I am ignorant and I think the way I think because I don't understand quantum mechanics and he does, and then I
He gives you
had.
that face. He gives you like a. He gives you a tippler. Tipler
Well,
was
well, okay, fine, it's Tipler,
like,
but
you don't understand particle physics, and I do. And he just gives you that face. I was like, oh,
so we had inspiration from real people, and then I had Michio Kaku, who in the middle of our conversation told me that I actually teach quantum mechanics, and so I actually understand about D-wave and I understand about quantum computers more than you do, which is obviously true. Of course, I can't deny it. And then I had another person who is very famous, and actually more than one person, who off camera gave me hard time because I forgot to mention the part doctor a couple of times, and they got very upset with me.
yeah, this is another real
Luckily,
person.
that wasn't on camera, and we actually cut it out a little bit. But all those things actually have happened with me, and we mentioned a couple names, but I cannot mention 20 other names who had equal, or actually in some cases funnier and or worse things happen that we did use and sprinkle throughout this kind of gag for April Fool's. So much of it is real stuff that really happened to me, believe it or not.
That's awesome. And Gil Ayres, thank you so much for the comments, dude. Gil says, you guys fooled me. I was insulted on Nicholas's behalf because of that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We were doing that stuff from real insults that you got.
Those things did happen, actually.
That's hilarious. I love nerd fights though.
Yeah.
Like we had a bit of a nerd debate right there. And I love those, man. I love that people are so obsessed with something that they can be like, no, that is incorrect, sir. But like those people are so important.
Yeah, but the other important part though is that to understand that even genius people, even brilliant scientists, even the best of the best are equally liable to exhibit cognitive bias.
Yes.
And all the other problems and fallacies and personal idiosyncrasies and issues that we exhibit in our daily lives. So they can be totally brilliant in, let's say, string field theory or in one field of their science. And they can be the best in the world. And then they can make very silly judgments or presuppositions or presumptions in another field and make silly mistakes all the time.
Yeah. And it reminds me of religion, but like let's get into that in a minute. We have like 3 more comments, and then I really want to like dive into that about that like logic, because you said before emotion eats logic for breakfast, and I was like, oh my god, we got to talk about that. But let's do like we got 3 more comments, then we'll get into it. This one, Mike Morris, Dave, you have number 6 up.
Yep, I put it up right now.
Mike Morris, what a beauty! The first guy with a name and his own photo, by the way. Good for you, Mike.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's been there for a long time, so thank you for being there, Mike.
Okay, so Mike says, Nick, you and Professor Patel got me. I was baffled until reading the comments. Even when believing this guy was legit, I was laughing my ass off. This guy did a great job of comically summarizing all the 100+ great interviews you've had with experts from all over the world. We Yanks appreciate a well-planned April Fool's joke. Emoji, emoji, emoji. Next year, ask Kaku to participate. He's got a great sense of humor. Does Kaku have a great sense of humor, though?
I think so. But more to the point that Mike makes here is he has seen most, if not all, of my interviews. Yeah. And therefore, he is the guy who actually managed to follow the thread and figure out that much of that stuff we sprinkled throughout the April Fool's joke was actually based on real stuff. Yeah. Because he could see those elements, and that's why he laughed so hard.
He can see the giveaway stuff, which makes it real. And then I feel like our scientists, like when I was writing it, I was like, I want to include real science. So it's all the science is real except for that one thing, too. That's another way of like when I wrote it, I didn't just want to say like nonsense. I wanted to say that's like, okay, that's real, but not everything.
Well, let's be a little bit more focused with that
evidence.
statement, though. It's not that all the science is real because we don't know what the real science is, but there are real scientists who believe and claim those things that you made there.
Yeah.
So,
like Nick Bostrom.
And that's a little bit of a difference, right?
There's a big difference. There's a difference. But like Nick Bostrom, Elon Musk, I don't know if Elon Musk's not a scientist, I guess, but he's a businessman. But Nick Bostrom was a big inspiration.
I think, by education or something.
I think he's
like
a computer engineer, maybe?
Or
I don't know.
Something, yeah.
And then what's his name? James Gates.
James Gates Jr.
James Gates, the black guy.
Yeah, he's got the beard and the hair.
That guy.
Good comments too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nelson, you made it, man.
The Church of Danilov.
Nelson says the Church of Danilov. I love it, dude.
Now, Nelson, people back in the day when I started 7 years ago, they used to ask me, what do you do? And I say, I'm a podcaster and a blogger. And they're like, what is that? So after I've explained what that means, actually, then they ask me, okay, so what's the topic? And I would say, the technological singularity, transhumanism, artificial intelligence, genetics, robotics, nanotech, synthetic biology. And they'll be like, that sounds like some kind of a weird cult,
Yeah.
like Scientology.
Yeah.
Are you like a Scientology cultist kind of guy? And I'm like, whoa.
No, but it's
So,
funny
yeah.
how they meet. It's funny how they meet. You go deep enough into science, and now it's getting to this weird area where we're using a lot of the same, like, where a religious person looks at us and says, "Oh, you think it's a simulation?" Well, what's the difference? It's like you believe in God in a simulator, or God, and God, I guess,
Creator.
dreamt it all up and created it,
Or a programmer.
and
Yeah.
it starts getting to the same place in a weird way.
Right, and you know, that's what actually Yuval Noah Harari talks in his latest 2 books, which, by the way, are the best 2 books that I've read for the last 10 years, perhaps, and they're called Sapiens and Homo Deus. And he talks that all the things that bind us together are invented myths. They do not actually believe. We're talking about corporations don't exist, nations don't exist, money doesn't exist. All the things that put us together, the idea of what human means, like all those things are mythologies that we create artificially, and what binds us. So he says, if you go to a chimpanzee and you tell him, take the banana from the chimpanzee and say, okay, give me this banana and you're going to go to chimpanzee heaven, the chimpanzee would think you're crazy. It will never give you a
never
banana,
work. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
if you go to a human and says, give me your food or do this, do that, and when you die, you're going to go in heaven, you know, a human can believe that kind of mythology and
Yes.
base their actions today in the present on some outcome in the future that doesn't exist today.
Doesn't exist. And I was reading a thing about this too, where people say like you couldn't get through the day without like 200 irrational beliefs.
At least I would say for me probably 20,000.
It's a lot though. Just to do basic stuff, like you just have to believe things are gonna work, even though
Yes.
you know nothing about them.
Yes.
So yeah, no, believe like we are based on beliefs. It's almost like the thing that changes us.
And
from
which
animals.
is why, as I said before, emotion eats logic for breakfast.
100%.
And which is why, by the way, I want to, because here's the thing, when people disagree with you at a logical level, they put out those totally impregnable fortresses.
Oh yeah.
And you can have the best, most solid logical argument, but you cannot make a crack in their wall of armor.
You can't make the crack, yeah.
But with music or humor, they're so powerful that you can start undermining the foundations of that fortress and make cracks, and they become the vehicle or the vessel which you sneak in an intellectual idea, and you create that bridge and you communicate, which is why I wanted to bring you to my show. And also the other reason, by the way, is that comedy is so powerful, right? And so we should also have some sense of humor. Life is too short anyway. But the other point is that I want people to understand that one of the things that I've learned is that we shouldn't take anyone too seriously, and ourselves probably most of all. But even the best and the brightest of us exhibit all the weaknesses of character typical of normal people.
Yeah.
And we should never trust anyone 100% completely, no matter how credible and how glorified with doctorship they are.
And we shouldn't write
accomplishments.
people off so quick either. Even when I got Nikola, actually, when you came here,
Yes.
there were 2 Jehovah's Witnesses at the door, and I just made this comment to them like, "Thanks, ladies. Thank you for saving my soul. We got to go now." And I
Yes.
just left, and Nikola was like, "Hey man, go easy on him." And I'm like, "Yo,
Yeah, you
it's
know-
true though. It's like why? Like I don't mean to be rude
You
to them.
know,
I was kind of joking,
But you are kind of rude.
but it was kind of rude. It was just I was just kind of like, okay, go away now.
Right,
Like, we're doing a thing.
And my thing, and I used to be just like that too, and most of the time still am. But what I'm trying to come up now is like, think of their motivation. They're trying to
Yes.
do the best for you. They're coming
They
from
are.
a good place.
That's right.
They want to save your soul.
They want to save my
Right. So try with compassion and
I wouldn't
and,
do that for them. I don't even know if I'd do it. I'd be like,
Well,
okay, God,
so
especially
then-
Jehovah's Witnesses.
so then-
they only have 150 spots in heaven, 150,000.
But so
I'd be
then
like, I tell
give
other
them
people.
credit for the fact that they
Good
care
for
about
you.
you.
Good
right?
for them,
That
yeah.
they're coming from a place of generosity and concern and compassion and love for you.
It's
so
true,
you should
yeah.
start with the same place. Is what I'm saying.
And I'll say this, that like right now the fight between atheists and scientists is too heavy. It's too like there's too many atheists, and I almost became one of these atheists who was like, your religion is so stupid and I'm going to tell you why. And it's like, that's not going to convince anyone.
Right, and that's the danger of also being too, because it becomes a religion on its own.
Yeah.
Some nice little hearts.
and I
Thanks for
remember-
your comments there.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And I remember in Psychology Today recently had a study where they said that if you have a set of beliefs and you believe in them strongly, and then I come at you with the exact opposite evidence,
Yeah.
not only will you ignore the evidence, but you'll keep believing the thing that you already believed in. You'll believe in it harder.
Exactly, yeah.
Your
That's what
evidence will
cognitive,
become another way of like, look how they're trying to attack
that's
me.
what cognitive bias is all about.
Yeah.
Cognitive bias basically says, regardless of the mountains of evidence showing to the contrary of what you believe in, people get even more entrenched
Yeah.
into their own beliefs, and that's what cognitive bias is, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I wanted you to come on my show on April, even on April Fools, so that I can tell people, please don't take my word for it. Don't
Yeah.
believe me. Don't believe, the smartest people in the world 100%. Believe them 90%, but always leave a little space for doubt, because
Yes.
with doubt is where growth begins, and that's the area where we connect with other ideas. And if we're 100% sure of everything, we'll never make any progress
And
whatsoever, right?
Exactly.
Doubt is the beginning of all, and which is why I like to say that doubt is the beginning of all science. Whereas religion, it's all about answers. It's about, here's the book, the God said it. Just follow this, and you do nothing else to the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
Whereas all progress is made on the idea that
Of being falsifiable. And one of the things we said in the thing is like falsifiable evidence. Like
Not
you got to
just-
be able to be like to prove what's wrong in a way too, or
right,
prove that it can be wrong.
testable. Falsifiability means that it's a testable hypothesis that you can either confirm or deny. But the other point is that people would say, well, a donkey, if a donkey was good for Jesus and a cave was good for Jesus, then why do you want a Mercedes, and why do you want to have running water and all the modern luxuries of modern life?
It does hold people back in a way.
But all progress in the world consists in the moment where children, usually through the intergenerational gap, start doubting that the lessons or the truths of the older generations apply to them. And as you said it in the interview yourself, you wanted to find the boundaries of math and break them and go through them, right?
Yeah.
Because you're a bad boy. But that was also
Did I say that?
you said
Yo,
that
we don't have that clip.
I was a bad boy. I was a
gotta-
bad boy. I wanted to break the border of math.
I'm bad boy.
I was a bad boy.
Math bad boy.
Yeah, rebel.
But that's what young people do, and that's how we have progress, right? Because they don't accept for true what is being handed down to them. And sometimes they fall on their faces, and because there are certain things that we need to learn by experience.
For sure.
But other times they come with better ways of doing things that their parents did.
Definitely, and I saw a great thing about like how we need liberals and conservatives. Like liberals and conservatives hate each other right now, and it feels like that a little bit with men and women too. A little bit where like people are picking sides and like with Trump and all this stuff. But it's like the thing that. Oh wait, what was I going to say? You were saying about you need conservatives and liberals because conservatives keep us alive by holding on to all the things that work. But included in the things that work, there are things that don't work, that the liberals have to be like, we got to try something new. So you actually need a balance of both. If it was just conservatives, we would never have any progress. And if it was just liberals, we wouldn't pay the bills or something like he had a really good way of saying it, where it's like you need the two kind of fighting back and forth. I think right now we're too divided. And it's sad because ultimately, even with religion and atheists, especially when science gets to this kind of stuff, it feels like religion and science would agree on a lot more things, but they're fighting over what do you want to call it. Like one wants to call it God and one wants to call it a programmer. What's the difference?
We've got a couple of things that are.
A couple of good comments. Yeah. Gil
So Gil's. Oh, sorry guys.
Gil says suffer. I just saw suffering sucks and then it went away. I'm
Another
a
reason
solid.
I'm a solid, dedicated fan of Nikola and Singularity FM. Where do I find out Amish Patel's material?
Oh, buddy, we're gonna have my material in the comments. It's already in.
Tell him to like the.
Yeah, just like the page. This is the page where I do all my stuff.
Fade
Gil.
to Brown is your podcast.
Yeah, Fade to Brown is the podcast, and this is
Yeah.
the page where I do all my stuff. So like the page for now, and then there's a link to like where you can find all my material and stuff like that.
And I like this one too.
Yeah, this is good. Another reason I fell for it is because. So this is another comment from Gil Erez. I
He
hope
had
I'm
the
saying that.
ayahuasca experience.
Another, yeah. So it says another reason I fell for it is because I had an ayahuasca experience in which I came to similar intuitions about the universe. It's so true, man. I got to do ayahuasca. Have you done it?
No, I haven't.
I'm sure Gil can tell us all about acid too. Acid is amazing.
To be
highly
honest,
recommend
I'm
it.
totally
But be
going,
careful. I don't want to.
I'm totally going in the opposite direction. I've even stopped doing coffee, and I used to be
Right.
coffee addict for many years. And
Okay.
I'm someone who you would think would be doing a lot of cognitive enhancement, smart drugs and stuff like that. I haven't done any of them, and I'm kind of going really in the opposite way, especially recently, like really old school. And even when I stopped drinking coffee, I think I actually operate and going vegan and
Right.
off coffee. Like I'm trying to keep my body as clean as possible. And I have to say, my mind actually works
sharper.
much better.
Yeah, I see that.
so-
Because a lot of the cognitive enhancement stuff. But I think that's a different thing. Like I think right now, drugs are suffering from the same dogma that a lot of like it's almost like people are religiously against drugs, and they just call everything drugs. Like it's not all heroin. But that's how Indian people think. Indian parents, they just think you're on heroin.
No,
if you
but
smoke a joint, they think you're doing heroin.
But one thing that I would be open to actually is ayahuasca. Right?
Ayahuasca,
I would
say,
be open to that.
When you read up on them, you realize like mushrooms, ayahuasca, acid can be very interesting. MDMA is actually really bad for you. Acid is actually scary because some people just go crazy on it. Like that's the scary thing of recommending and telling
is
people.
It called DMT, the
No.
compound in ayahuasca?
Oh yeah. The
I think it's
ayahuasca and
called
DMT are very much related.
Yeah.
And apparently you can just get it. Like if you go to South America, there's people who will take you on a 2-day journey or like an overnight.
All right.
You puke,
Yeah.
you shit, and they say that
I think
your brain
it's
even
more like
gets
a
rid
week.
of
You
garbage.
have to go to a cleansing period before you actually do the ceremony.
you shit yourself.
Like physical. Well, yeah.
It's a little hard talk for Singularity FM. I bet.
No.
got you.
I mean, it
You
depends.
shit yourself.
The whole point of you cleansing yourself is actually to avoid that. To be honest.
Oh, okay, but what
Right?
I've heard of it is
So
that
yes,
it's almost like
that happens, but not
Yeah.
every time, and not to everyone. So it depends, and there's measures you can take to avoid that happening.
like doing a pre-cleanse. But what people say about it,
Made a clarification.
ayahuasca equals DMT plus MAO inhibitor. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Hey, Nelson is a
what's
cool
up, buddy?
guy. He
Yeah.
loves your show.
Yeah, man, he messaged. Yeah, what's up, buddy? Now, what people have said about ayahuasca though is that it's like almost like the getting the shits and puking is almost symbolic of what happens in your brain too, because your brain says here's a bunch of garbage that you got to go through and deal with, so we can get it out, so that you can be the person you need to be.
I want what says out of your mind. Right?
Out of your mind,
you
yeah.
have to get out of your mind to actually get into the proper perspective and to get back in your proper mind and to see the thing from the right point of view. You have to get out of your mind.
And that's where I would agree with you on don't do Coke, don't do even coffee and sugar seems like sugar we got to start
is
including
the
as a
worst,
drug.
probably.
It's
Sugar
the worst,
is
right? And
like-
that's the thing that
Yeah.
I'm just like, listen, I'll stop smoking weed and drink coffee. Let's do the sugar first. Okay, let's get rid of that, but that's hard to get rid of too.
Yeah, it's not easy, but if you're on plant food diet, it's a natural byproduct of, it's a result of that. So ever since I went vegan, like I don't add salt, I don't add sugar, I don't add anything. It's basically whole plants.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good time to bring up our sponsor, Glory of India.
I actually just made a post.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, we ate vegan. Well, you ate vegan that day.
Yeah,
and they have
I
a lot
ate
of
vegan
food.
every day.
Yeah, you ate every day, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, but they have really good vegan food. So shout out to Glory of India sponsors.
And the funny thing is, I used to hate Indian food before, and as soon as me and my wife switched vegan, now we're big Indian food fans. We
all you
love
got.
it. Well, Asian food is generally very good. Thai food.
If you go vegetarian or vegan, like it's your only
very good
option
because
after a
you
while.
can go to. Those are the few places where they actually cook the food and prepare it with
Yeah.
real ingredients.
Yeah.
So you can always walk into a Thai place or an Indian place
Yeah.
and say, hey, I just don't want, yogurt, meat, and butter and stuff like that. They can always make something for you.
There's like
with
Canadian-
lots of good veggies.
Oh,
and,
good vegetables, good and
stuff.
chickpeas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We
There's-
just gotta throw though too that Glory of India isn't just vegan. They have the best freaking butter chicken that I've ever.
Oh, Dave loves their butter chicken because
Well, I wouldn't know about that.
I wouldn't
but
know
I'll
about
take
that
for
because
it.
we've gone
Sorry,
vegan, Dave.
sorry
So,
to-
but if you want to eat meat, Glory of India does have a lot of great meat dishes, which Dave has enjoyed because he doesn't mind.
You're a bad man. The chicken monster.
But, Gil
Yeah.
has a question for you.
Gil, what's up, buddy? Nikola, are you feeling good on the vegan diet?
I gotta say, man, I feel freaking awesome. Next weekend is going to be 1 year anniversary because me and my wife, my wife is Italian. So imagine big Italian family. We have Easter every year with 15 people on the table, very heavy, very big meal. And so last Easter, me and my wife, at the end of the day, we look at each other and kind of simultaneously we're like, we're so done with this. And the next day I went home, I basically opened the fridge. Everything in our fridge that was not vegan went either to my mother-in-law's or to my sister-in-law's.
Wow.
I gave everything away. So we didn't even go slowly and gradually. We went cold turkey.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, my biking has improved at least by a level, maybe 2 levels. I feel better than ever. I eat like a pig. I eat more than ever in my life in terms of quantity, but it's not such dense calorie wise.
Yeah.
So I can eat a lot of, plants that don't have, 4 or 5 times less calories than, let's say, a steak.
Well,
or
you're getting a
or
lot of
piece
water and
fish.
fiber in it.
They're all
That just
rich in
goes
water.
through.
They're all rich in fiber, and I feel tremendously well. My skin has improved. I sleep better. So when I shave my head, I used to get a lot of pimples.
Mhm.
I don't ever almost get pimples anymore. I
Wow.
sleep better. I'm better on the bike. I think it's one of the best thing that I've ever done for me and for the planet, to be honest. So I'm a huge proponent now.
There's a great Bill Clinton interview where like he's like 75, 80 in the interview, and they're like
Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton, or he's no in the interview. It was a while ago. I don't know, how old is he?
He's not 75, 80,
Okay,
man.
forget it. I don't know how old he is, but he looks old. He looks old, and I remember when he was running for president, he was like fat. He used to eat burgers and a lot and whatever.
Yeah, when he was
And
a
now-
president, he was
Oh,
fat.
he was a big boy.
Right.
Now they're like, you look so great. You look 10 years younger. What are you doing? And he's like, well, I went vegan.
Yeah, he's on
I
plant
stopped
food.
eating
Yeah,
meat,
yeah.
plant-based diet.
Absolutely, it's the best. Yeah,
That guy
and he
is
looks
sharp.
better now than he looks back then, well, kind of, right?
He is having too much sex right now, I think. Anyway,
But-
that's
but-
another story for
But
another
that's
day.
another benefit, by the way, of the vegan diet.
That's what I heard Bill Clinton talking about it. I was like, oh my god, this
Because
guy.
you know the veins get plugged with all that stuff from the meat byproducts, from butter, from fats, you know, all those things that give you heart
Aye.
attack. You know, just think of the thing. It's like it's a big vein, right?
Yeah, it's a giant vein.
So if it gets plugged, then you're in trouble,
It's
right?
giant veins
And
on
it's,
veins.
by the way, one of the first symptoms that starts telling you that you have cardiovascular problems for the heart.
Is
You know,
this guy.
impotency is a symptom and a sign that you're not doing well with your cardiovascular.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
really? It's not brain? I've heard impotency is mostly
Well,
all in
there
your
could
head.
be a number of symptoms, but
Like stress or
impotency
something.
is definitely one of them.
Definitely, like, if it's like the blood can't get
So
there.
so veganism helps like
Yeah.
tremendously.
Bill Clinton is. I just imagine how much, because you go to those Democratic national conventions,
We know that
people
Amish-
can't stop
Okay,
clapping.
We
clapping
know
for him.
Amish doesn't have an issue with his junk because Bill Clinton really does it for him.
Bill Clinton does it for me every
Okay,
day. Bill
time to
Clinton does it
change
for me.
topics. Enough
Time to
on
change
that.
topics.
Yeah.
Okay, we got another. I missed one of Kaja's comments. I guess it went down. What'd she say?
Oh,
Oh, we TED Talks. Kaja's just said ever. All right, cool. LOL. All right, thanks, Kaja. I just want to give everyone a shout out. Okay, let's go to this comment that you brought us. Dave, can we go to comment number 7?
yes, we can.
Because this goes into the things of like what were the giveaways on the video.
Uh-huh.
And Gil was talking about this earlier too. So Info Sofer says, laughing. Nikola, you totally got me until I realized the date. I love you, but it took me until 1645 with some doubt. But, and please don't interrupt me like this, gave it away. This guy is too great to be real.
By the way, that's another thing that I got that happened to me in real life and like more than once. So that's again 100% true.
Yeah, nice, man. And then she says, and I was wondering all this time whether I was really so out of touch with such Indian academics, or rather, as speaking for all of us, the other way around. Beautiful. No, it's not even about it was fake. And it was acted. That was beautiful. Thanks for the comments, guys. And then this is the last comment that we're going to read today by Lucas Mueller. Dave, you have that one up? 10?
Number 10. Yep.
This beauty. Lovely, Nikola. Just lovely. Wonderfully played. Weirdly believable up to a point when I had to burst out into laughter. Amazing and not at all expected. Reflection with humor. I'd love more of that, just as a provocation of thought, which never can be wrong. Can it? Truly something fresh. I love that because we were talking about this
Yeah.
already, that
Yeah.
like it just gets people thinking about this.
Yeah, we already covered that point, but it's very important to
Yeah.
reinforce it perhaps that humor goes places where logic cannot.
Yes, and that, oh my
and
God.
that's why it's so important. But also, we should never be too serious or too convinced that we know the truth.
Yeah.
We should be a little bit more Socratic in our approach to saying, I know that I don't know, and really believe that. And be
more
a
Socratic.
a little less self-assured.
Yeah,
Socratic.
Socratic. Yeah, that makes sense.
And you know, don't take my word for it. Don't take whatever genius you want to quote his word for it for to be 100% of the truth, because growth always lies beyond that point, because answers are all just waypoints. They're stations along the journey of life. And if you get stuck onto a station, you're never going to get onto the next step. And that's why it's the questions actually that matter.
Yeah.
It's the questions that push us to go forward. And a good answer actually always raises a bunch of other new questions, bigger and better, right? So Isaac Newton gave us an answer, and that answer lasted for 200 years. Then we had Einstein, who actually showed that Isaac Isaac Newton's answer doesn't hold under certain circumstances, and then he pushed us even to go further. And when it came to the big things in our universe, and now we're looking for someone like Dr. Patel to give us
To actually do
1-inch equation or shorter or a
Yeah.
single number that can explain the coming together of the real big things and the real small things of the universe. So in other words, to put quantum mechanics and the theory of relativity together, right? And this is how we build progress forward, right?
Yeah, you have to build interest for it for sure. And so maybe Dr. Patel didn't discover it and he's not real, but he'll inspire someone else to do it.
No, but a lot.
That's my contribution to science, is I'm going to inspire.
Absolutely,
And then you do it,
and
and
a
then
lot
you
of the
guys do
things
it.
that Dr. Patel said, not only the joke parts, but the science parts were true parts.
Yeah, they're
that-
lifted from like Nick Bostrom,
As we said,
like
yeah,
James
or
Gates,
James Gates and
Neil
many
deGrasse
others.
Tyson had a talk with like 4 of the.
Absolutely.
It was brilliant.
Absolutely.
And it's not. That's the thing that I keep trying to tell people is that the universe being a simulation, it's not that preposterous.
No.
Like there's stuff in there that's real that like if you go down to a particle physics level enough, it's essentially just information.
Yeah, James Gates supposedly has a code that reminds.
Error correcting
It's not
code.
just any code actually, but it's a code that is the same code that is used in browsers, in internet browsers right now.
They call it error correcting code.
Right,
And
exactly.
that code is found, and he found it written in the fabric of the universe. It's crazy.
Supposedly,
So,
yeah. So like, who know? I don't know
Yeah.
if it's true. I'm not probably the best person to judge it, but I'm just saying. So we don't know if that's the true science, but there's true scientists who actually believe that and argue that and have put their reputations on the line for it.
For sure, man. And you were talking about just critical thinking before that too. I just heard an interesting thing about education and how, and Michio Kaku says this too, where we don't teach people how to think.
Yeah.
Schools are just places to just drop knowledge into your head. Like your head is just a place to just to pour in this liquid like knowledge or whatever. And really, he's like, Neil deGrasse Tyson is working on this too, where he's saying we got to shift it into teaching people how to think because it's missing.
And
Critical
that's
thinking.
where the Socratic method actually comes to
Yeah,
play
you
at
gotta
its
be open
best,
for it.
right? Because only in a school where you have complete beginner's mind and acceptance of ignorance is where you can give birth to a diversity of philosophical schools and diversity of opinion and everybody giving birth to their own ideas because that shows that you're not actually brainwashing people, but you're helping them discover and rediscover truths that are important to them and solutions that they came up with and ideas that they created.
Yes.
And that's what learning is. Learning is not just a passive process of, open up your mouth and we're going to stuff you with our junk. But it's actually an active process of, accepting and digesting and then coming up with something better.
Yes. Okay, so I want to lead this into our conversation because I think that the biggest fight back to religion, to science, is from religious people, and it's specifically religious people who are afraid of nihilism. And they accuse and they automatically jump to like, oh, you don't believe in God. This is the number one thing. You know what my mom says to me? The number one thing she says, if I say I don't believe in God, someone says they don't believe in God, she says, oh, okay, then go murder everyone. Go murder. Go kill someone then.
Right.
Oh, you don't want to kill them because you love God. Like that's her proof. To her, that's proof. That's evidence. Like, oh, you didn't kill anyone, right?
Well,
that's because you love God.
Yeah, and that's what a
gonna
lot
go
of
to jail,
people
too.
say. If we don't have a God, right,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have the fear of God and we'll be all mass murderers and nihilists and stuff. So to me, my response is that, first of all, it's a very selfish thing to be good to go to heaven, right?
Yes.
That means you're not doing good stuff because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You're doing good stuff to get something out of it, which is a transactional deal.
Yeah.
Basically, you're trading. I'm going to be good and God's going to reward me by sending me to heaven.
Right.
So that's kind of a deal. Where I would say is like, if you take it as a philosophically important thing, and you talk about pure ethics, you should do things because they're the right thing to do, not as a means to an end, but as an end in themselves.
Well, now I got to worry about my mom because my mom's like, well, if there's no God, murder everyone. And it's like, Mom, do you want to murder people? That's what I think
Right.
now.
You
It's
should
like,
not-
are you just like, well,
Right.
Just
I
on
was.
the edge.
She's just on the edge of like, man, I'm gonna kill this. Ugh, God, you're lucky, pal.
Yeah.
I get one word from him, you're going down. Like that's it. That's
So
all she
if
needs.
God dies tomorrow, they're gonna kill everybody.
Yeah, that's
right?
you got to watch the religious
And
people.
by the
who
way,
are-
that's dangerous because imagine in a situation where we actually, really hack the nature of reality, or we
Yeah.
have ridiculous life extension and allow people to live for hundreds of years, or we do a bunch of other things that will have religious impact in the essence that people would start doubting their religions, and then those people who are held by their fears maybe we're going to be suddenly released and start doing shit like that.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why I say it's best actually to start from a philosophical or from an ethical point of view,
Yeah.
and get your priorities right and say, I don't kill people because it's the right thing to do, not because I'm going to get something
Just
out
something
of it.
can be inherently good without this religious thing. Yeah.
And actually, the highest form of ethics is doing the right thing, even explicitly when it doesn't pay you to do so, but it actually costs you.
Yeah.
That's the highest thing, of the highest level of ethics. Is it's going to cost me, it's going to be hard for me to do it, but it's the right thing to do, and therefore I'm going to do it. Not because I'm going to get a reward, or not because it's going to cost me nothing, but it's going to cost me a lot, may cost me even my life. But I'm going to do it anyway because it's the right thing to do. And that's where ethics comes, and that's where we can learn from the ancient Greeks, I
Really
think.
quick, Nelson's just taking off. He just said thanks, guys.
Oh, Nelson, see you later, buddy. You can. Oh, so for everyone watching
Nelson,
the show,
I'm going to republish this on my podcast, and
well, this lives on Facebook forever. So anyone
Yeah.
watching it right now, you can come back and watch it forever.
Right.
And then this week we're putting up our audio podcast. This video is going to be on your channel as well.
Yeah,
so
it's
there's a
going
lot of
on
places that you
everywhere.
can catch this.
Yeah.
If you like the page, we'll have like notices about where you can watch this
Absolutely,
later.
absolutely.
And Billy's
Billy, what's up? Billy Jimmy Lee. Thanks, Amish and Nick. Boom.
about Sam Harris.
2 hearts.
Hey, Billy, we'll see you on Thursday, right? Book reading. You're the photographer guy. Awesome. We'll see you
Beautiful,
there.
beautiful. All right, cool.
Thank
man.
you.
And he says Sam Harris on religions from philosophical perspectives.
Yeah, Sam Harris. I've invited Sam Harris maybe 3 times at least on my podcast. So far, no response. but-
Sam, where the fuck you at, dude? Are we allowed to talk about your upcoming guests or no?
Sure, but
Can you
right-
mention? Can you name drop right now?
Well, right now I just like Dr. Krauss, Leon
Tell
Krauss, right? Was actually I mean not Leon Krauss,
Lawrence Krauss.
Lawrence
Yeah.
Krauss said that he would come to on my show, and
great.
we're actually right
What a
now.
great
And
guy.
he said yes. The problem is that many times those people say yes, and then it takes a long time to actually nail them on a specific
Right.
date and time. So he said yes 2.5 weeks ago, and I right now I'm in contact with his publisher about like actual date and time we
Yeah,
can do it.
yeah.
So it would be a great follow-up of Dr. Amish Patel's, right? To have
Oh,
Dr. Lawrence Krauss, and because we're going
Oh
to
my
have
god! If you show him my video, if you show him our video,
some of those same topics are going to be discussed, right?
that'd be great. Yeah, that's
Right?
a good thing to get into.
So-
that's a good
Yeah.
circle to just have them see
So
my
that's
work.
just like one example of a
That's
person
awesome.
that I've got a yes, but yeah.
But okay, so we're talking about materialism and morality. I love Sam Harris. I love Lawrence Krauss because they
Yeah.
are 2 people who are fighting for this, who are just not letting the religious people own all of it. I think Sam Harris can be a little harsh at times, but Lawrence Krauss is very. They're ultimately
He
both
can
very
be
sweet.
pretty harsh too, like
Lawrence Krauss?
from the point of view of like atheism and stuff like that, right? Just like
Yeah.
Richard Dawkins.
Just like Richard Dawkins. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all like
Yeah.
pretty. They're all like
Yeah.
ready for a fight.
Yeah.
But they all have a good sense of morality. You are also like you wrote this article about going vegan. You have like your 6 reasons why you went vegan. None of them have to do with God.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
all just reasons that are good to be vegan because it's good to be vegan. You know, like
Yeah, and if you look at the people that I've quoted there, many of the greatest people in the history of humanity, people like Plato, Virgil, Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Leo Tolstoy, even people like Bob Marley, by the way, of course, Paul McCartney, and many other famous and cool people nowadays, they're all vegan. Like Nikola Tesla was another big one, by the way. There's a whole
when
list
people were
of
vegan back then, that's so impressive.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if I go to some small town,
Totally.
I'm like, I'm not going to be vegan.
Yeah,
here.
Plutarch.
I'm vegan for several days of the week. In Toronto, sure, vegan. I go to some small town, I'm like, come on, I'm just gonna eat some cheese on this. They're like, they got nothing for me, you know. But
Yeah.
But back then, Nikola Tesla being vegan, that's impressive, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And so and by the way, the Pythagoreans in ancient Greece, because Plato was a Pythagorean, and they thought that the numbers in math was divine, by the way. So they worship math.
Yeah.
They were all the whole Pythagorean school was vegan, right? So back in the day, which is why Plato was vegan. And by the way, the guy was also a wrestler. So So he was a very good wrestler.
There's a couple
and
of
very
MMA
good
fighters who are
philosopher
vegan.
and vegan.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's great.
absolutely.
That's great. And you know what, man? I hear all these arguments against it. I don't even want to say I'm against people who eat meat or like I hear arguments against it too, but I just like that you have a sense of morality that is not like I'm going to go to hell after. So
And
I shouldn't do this.
You know, maybe I will. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to do the right thing right now today in what I do
With the
because
best
it's the
information
right
you have.
because
Best
it's the right
information,
thing. Yes, based on insufficient but the best information that I'm able to get.
Yeah.
Because it's the right thing to do, not because I'm gonna get something out of it. Right. That's the whole point of ethics, is that you do the right thing because it's the right thing, not to get something out of it. Because otherwise you're in business transaction and you're just trading. I'm going to do this. I'm going to scratch your back. You go, hey, God, I'm going to scratch your back. You're going to scratch my back kind of deal. Right?
That's interesting. Apparently, like Jewish, like the Torah is very like legal. It's like they have a legal. Someone told me about this recently, where they were saying that the Torah, they actually have a very legal relationship with God.
But the same could be said about Hinduism, right?
Yeah.
Hinduism is not just a religion, but it's about ethics too. It's about how you should and ought to live your life.
Yeah.
Right? So it has legal part of it. It has.
Well, you have karma,
you know,
right? So there's someone just keeping track and like, okay, well now I'm gonna have to get you killed.
Not only karma,
whatever,
but it
you know.
actually has a number of prescriptions about what you should and you shouldn't do with your life and in your daily routines, and that's what ethics is all about.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it has even legal dimensions and implications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So most religions are like that.
Yeah, most
actually.
religions have like a bit of a political side to them, or a
All of
legal
them.
like interesting.
All of them are political. I mean, think about the only thing is now that Hinduism is what I would call a republican religion because you have a diversity of different gods.
Yeah.
Whereas Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are monarchical religions because you have a single, all-powerful, almighty God, which
So
is a kind of a
Hinduism-
paradox because if you think about it, the United States is a republican, not in the political sense, but in they're a republic.
Yeah.
Right?
So they should have more.
So politically, you're a republic, but religiously, you have the monarchical system of a single God who is in charge of everything.
Well, also think of it from the side of capitalism. Where's your free choice in the market? If one god's screwing me over, I can go to another god. I can be like, listen, nothing's working out with Shiva. I'm going to
Competition.
Vishnu.
Competition.
I got these Hindu gods competing for me.
Right.
They're trying to get my attention. They're trying to get my business.
Right.
You got one god. Of course
it's
he's
a
mean.
monopoly.
It's
It
a
doesn't
monopoly.
work.
Bible God is a monopoly,
It
and that's
doesn't
why
work for anyone other than God.
it's like a dictatorship monopoly. Yeah.
It is a dictator. But think about it. When you go to a church, it's 100% dictatorship. Where's the altar? The altar is at the back of the church, and God's throne is facing backwards to the wall, and he is up on the higher ground. Who takes the higher ground in battle? The biggest despot of them all. And why? When you go to the despot, you prostrate yourself face down. Why? Because it's very hard to pull your sword and attack the person at that time.
Yeah.
And what he has his henchmen on both sides of the throne usually, right?
And they have sticks sometimes.
And
right?
if you think
Like a cross.
that's exactly how a church is built, and you lie yourself prostrate in front of the God, why? Because it's a very fearful God. He knows that he came in power through trickery and all kinds of other stuff, and he is obviously insecure and he's afraid that you would attack, and therefore you have to prostrate. You have to be disarmed. You have to lie on the ground, and he has to have the higher ground to have the advantage of defense.
The religions are written for their time. So you got to judge Bible God with Bible God times.
Right, but this is exactly the origins of all those things, right? And they're all just a copy of how the despots and in the old, you know, me and Julie went to travel to Luxembourg one day, and you know how the current prince and king came to be in charge. Like 500 years ago, it was a monastery or something like that. And a guy put monk clothes, knocked on the door in the middle of the night. They opened the door. He killed everybody, and he declared himself to be the king. Right? And since then, his bloodline, today we have the Prince of Monaco. Not Luxembourg. It was the story of Monaco, actually.
Monaco.
Right? And this is the story of any king in any kingdom, right?
Yeah.
The guy who killed everybody else basically became the king. Right?
Yeah.
And that's why he sits on the higher ground.
He's on the higher,
He has a throne, and you prostrate yourself face
Yeah.
down
He knows
because
at any moment it could be taken
he
away.
can
can
be
be taken
attacked
away,
because that's exactly what he did.
And what a
Yeah.
good analogy to
Right.
religion.
Good analogy
And,
to religion,
and
yeah.
this is why the churches are built the way they're
They're
built.
built the
too,
way they're built.
Right?
But say what you want about Bible God, though. You go back even further, like Zeus just would come down and have sex with everyone's wife.
Yeah, the guy was very
What
promiscuous.
he's a dirtbag,
Right.
and he would turn into you, have sex with your wife, and here's the thing: it's a victimless crime. He needed you to come see it.
And here's the
He needed you to
cognitive
walk in
bias.
on it and be like, "Oh God, God, and then he
Right,
would finish.
and here's the cognitive bias part of the thing. So even on the mightiest god of all the Greek gods, Zeus, you know, everyone knew he was a horny bastard.
Yeah.
Right? Except for him himself. He always thought he's the justest, the most powerful,
Yeah.
the most noble, the best of all the gods. Right? So he saw himself as the best of all the gods.
It's so
Everyone
interesting.
else knew
Yeah.
he's a horny bastard.
Yeah, they knew he was
Right.
a dirtbag, and he was like a
And
jerk
he
to people.
was having all those kids from all those women that he saw. Like Hercules was like one of his sons,
Yeah.
And all those other ones, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as he saw a nice, beautiful woman,
Right.
you know, he had to go and check
No,
her out.
but the worst thing
right?
is he would turn into the guy and have sex with the wife.
Right,
If
and
he
lie
could
to
just
her.
do it,
Yeah,
if he
exactly.
could just do it in a way that the guy didn't find out, it's a victimless crime.
Right.
Because
So-
she's
so
having
he
good
would
sex.
pretend
He maybe doesn't even want to have sex,
Yeah.
or he could skip one
he
one
would
round.
pretend he's her proper husband, actually.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Take
then
his
change-
liking, his
yeah.
physical attributes.
Yeah.
And trick her. Yes.
and then turn
Right.
back into himself. And then if the guy
Right.
got too mad about it, he's like, "Well, now I got to kill you or do something."
Right,
He'll
right.
send him to hell. He'll do
Right.
some stuff. Yeah.
So everyone saw him as a horny bastard, you know, and everything, and he saw himself as just the best of the best, and that's cognitive bias right there.
Boom. And God, even God has it.
Yeah, the best.
God
the,
has
Zeus,
cognitive bias.
Zeus, and
Zeus.
he was famous that if you give him a chain in one of from Mount Olympus, if you string a chain from the clouds all the way down to the earth, and you have all the gods at the bottom of the chain pulling. He was the strongest god, so he can pull all the rest of the Olympian gods with a single hand,
Wow.
just like that. And by the way, how did he come to power? By killing his father and all his brothers, etc., etc.
Did not know that.
That's vicious.
Right?
But that's like Old Testament is like that too. Like
But
the
this
Old
is-
Testament,
this is how
Cain
Zeus,
and Abel.
Zeus
Cain-
came to power, the Titans
Yeah.
and all of that. He
Yeah.
slaughtered everybody basically,
everyone.
and he declared himself to be the best.
I mean, listen, people know you mean business when you kill your dad and your brothers. People are like, well, don't fuck with that guy. He's not gonna like let me go.
And then you build an altar to the god, and what do? You make it like a fortress, and you create people to prostrate, you know,
Yeah.
and crawl in front of him because it's hard to attack that way.
Yeah. Now, here's one thing I'm gonna say. Him being able to pull all the other gods with one chain, I bet he wrote that.
Well, of
I
course,
bet he was weak as fuck. Like, because these rich kids, they're not strong. They're weak. But then he's like, I could pull all of them with one chain. It's like, okay, buddy.
Well-
Sure. Like, don't say anything. He'll murder everyone.
Well,
but like,
he was very powerful, and
Yeah.
let's not forget he was the god of thunder.
oh, he's got that.
So people who used to be struck by lightning were impious people or blasphemers who said something bad about the god, and he struck them dead.
That's amazing. You know, in Hinduism, there's like there's
There's
this
a
god
parallel.
named Indra.
Yeah,
In Indra, and he is the king of the gods.
yeah.
But he's not. He's like a low level guy. He's not the highest. He's not like there's God, and then he's one of the gods that's
Because
like, hey guys, come
Hinduism
on.
a lot more democratic religion, actually.
Very democratic. It's
right?
all about democracy. It's all about free choice, open market, capital. It's a capitalist based religion.
Right, and so yeah. Whereas here we in the West we have embraced the monarchical system.
It's
of
opposite,
religions.
eh? It's opposite, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is very weird.
It's very weird because if you look at how they live in India, they live like good Christians. They live like nobody has sex and stuff. Nobody's doing drugs. It's like what is this? And then you go to America, it's all sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Wait. If nobody has sex, how do we have 1.some billion Indians?
After
right?
marriage, dude, they have sex after they get married.
They clearly have it, all
They're
right?
like
Lots
they're
of it,
pushing the
okay.
marriage. They get people
Like,
married when they're 20.
That one doesn't fly,
Listen,
buddy.
you know how many of my uncles they got married because they were horny? I have uncles that told me this. They're like, he's like, listen, I was 19. They put a girl in front of me. I need to get pussy. Like he's just like, yo, and he's married, and like I'm like, she's in the other room, but he's like, yeah, but you know,
Okay, you start
you're 20
sounding
years
like
old.
Donald Trump using those words now. You know.
yeah. I mean, that's what. Yeah, people just got married.
Okay, let's get back on.
I think we need to. I think we're. I think this is beautiful. I think we wrapped it up well with Zeus. No.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah. Oh no. You wait.
We do have one
That's cool.
question.
We have a question. Let's answer the question.
Okay.
There are ethical arguments in favor.
Yeah, they're ethical. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry. Gil Irez says there are ethical arguments in favor of a
I think he means it's a question.
conscientious,
Are there-
omnivorous
Yeah,
diet.
well, he maybe as a statement, maybe as a question, but the point is this though.
Yeah.
First, it's about personal ethics, right? I'm not telling you do this, don't do that. As I said, I'm just sharing with you what I do. I'm sharing all the options and the possibilities in front of you. You decide what's good for you. So that's where ethics is inseparable from personal choice. Otherwise, it will be slavery, right? You have to make the free choice yourself. But secondly, I personally, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any ethical reasons. Let me talk a little bit about that because that's an important point. So we've been talking about gods right now.
Right.
As far as the animal world is concerned, we are the gods.
Yeah.
Okay, we are the givers and the takers. And what kind of gods are we? Right? We are the kind of gods that kill 75 billion animals and 1.3 trillion fish and other organisms from the sea. 1.3 trillion annually, every year. 75 billion animals, right?
Half of that's in the garbage
they
somewhere.
live basically in concentration camps
Yeah.
from their birth to their death. And by the way, we don't treat them humanely. We treat them as machines, right? So if you look at it historically speaking, and from a religious point of view, when we had the hunter-gatherer society, they used to be animists. They didn't consider, the hunter-gatherer didn't consider himself above the mammoth, the woolly mammoth that they ate, or all the other animals. They considered that everyone had the right to live, and they apologized to the animal for killing it and
They were just in the game. They were just in it. Like, we're all in it together. Like, I got you today.
And they were grateful that, because the next day the tiger ate the human, for example, and we all saw each other together.
Yeah.
And we didn't see ourselves as special. And then as soon as we moved to agricultural societies, which is the move when we made to monotheist religions, by the way, then God told us that it's okay to kill the animals because we were better than them.
Yeah.
You see, it's important to know how this happened. And then we justified most everything because we're better than the animals. Why?
Yeah.
Because we have the soul. And they don't have the soul. That's the reason why we think
Same
ourselves
logic for
better.
slavery, by the way. Same logic for
Of course,
slavery.
of course.
A lot of religions have how to treat your slave.
But
These
animals
people
are our slaves, right? So-
Animals are, but human beings can be too.
right.
Yeah.
But nowadays we've went away, hopefully,
We went away
from
slavery, and now we're still
But we have
on the
billions
animals.
of animals that we are treating as machines and as slaves and as a means to an end rather than as an end to themselves.
Guaranteed at one point we're going to look back on eating meat as the equivalent of slavery. I have no doubt on that.
That's my take on it, but Gil may disagree with me. But
He has another point too.
Oh, a lot of people disagree with me on this when I tell them, but
what is the other point? I don't see it.
see it.
It's right here.
Conscientious omnivores.
Opposed to
Yes, and that's the point of the free range society, and let them roam. But you know what? From ethical point of view, that makes marginal difference. I'll tell you why. It's like saying, okay, is it better to have a slave that spent all their life, was born in a prison, and then you kill them, or is it better to have a free person and you go and kill them? Obviously, how they live their life doesn't have a bearing on how they should die. In other words, you can live as a free man and live as a slave. It has no ethical or logical bearing on the way you should or you shouldn't die. And therefore, I don't personally buy the argument that you can tell me, well, this animal has spent its way like roaming the woods free, and therefore now I can go and kill it. How is that logical? How does that make sense?
like putting yourself in the animal situation.
Well, it's almost like, have you ever seen Planet
Yes,
Earth?
they had a better life until that point.
Yeah.
But then you go and kill them.
But some of them didn't even. Like,
How is that?
When you watch Planet Earth, like some animals, their life is torture. Like, it's just suffering from day one.
No, look.
It's so
the law
sad.
of the jungle is nasty, brutish, and short.
It's
Life
so
is
brutish.
nasty, brutish,
It's
and
so
short.
mean.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to God and be like, take it easy, man.
Right.
It's almost like you go, like, imagine you went to GM, right? And everything looks like normal. And then you open a door and there's just a guy getting whipped. And you're like, whoa, what the fuck was that? That's how Planet Earth feels, where I'm like, why is this animal, like, can someone just fix this? Like, why is this animal getting tortured by a cat? Like, mice get tortured by cats.
Well,
And it's just
sure.
like, what?
They play with them, just like, for example, killer whales play with seals.
Yeah.
The same thing. It's
Yeah, they
part of
torture
the
them.
teaching the new generation, and it's part of having fun. But that's the kind of
That's how
gods
we
we
have to
are
be.
today with animals. We don't only kill animals for food, by the way. We kill them for sports, for entertainment, for fun, in all kinds of different ways. So that's the kind of gods we are today with respect to the animals. Now, think about if we actually have artificial intelligences or
Reason
aliens.
number 3 from his going
Or
vegan article.
aliens coming from space and actually being much smarter than us. So they can use the same exact logic. They can say, one, our religion says you guys don't have a soul. Or two, they can say our science says we're so much more intelligent and advanced than you. Therefore, we can justify killing you, eating you, roasting you, imprisoning you,
Or just treating you like an ant and saying like, we got to
Or
build a
treating
thing
you the
here,
same way
and
as
there's
treating-
a bunch of animals here. I don't care. Like, I need my house.
or
They
treating
could-
you the same way that you treat the animals now.
Yeah.
Right. So isn't it better to treat them with kindness, dignity, and respect
Yeah.
as an end in themselves rather than the means, so that we can show that there's a precedent of smarter intelligences treating lower intelligences in
Yeah.
a good way, and we can hope to be treated in kind ourselves by those smarter intelligences. Because right now, if they follow our model, we're doomed.
We're screwed. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, even if they don't show up and they don't follow our model, we are going to be
Doesn't
doomed
hurt.
simply because right now we're consuming the planet, and the biggest emissions, by the way, of course, as you know, I'm sure, come from the agricultural industry related, usually lots of things like methane and other gas related to cattle production, where either directly or indirectly being, for example, when you burn the forest to grow soy or corn to feed the cattle,
Yeah.
and by the way, we already have the means to feed 14 billion people on our planet today. No new technology needed, no nothing. Just a simple diet change.
Like, you have to feed a cow way more. Like,
Yeah,
you can feed
and
like
they-
100 people
and
with
they-
what you would feed a
and
cow
they-
to feed one
And it's
guy.
not just the food; it's actually water. They consume
Water,
a
yeah.
lot
The
more
water,
water.
they're insane, yeah.
A lot more water, and then you have the excrement,
Yeah.
which actually pollutes the bays. It goes into
Yeah.
the water aquifers. It poisons our drinking water, their drinking water. It poisons the fish. It's a horrendous.
Gil's got all of the anti-vegan points ready. I feel like he knows them all.
His one here is probably also
Keep yourselves
most
hydrated, guys. Yeah.
Right.
Vegan, yeah, no, it's true. It honestly, it is a complicated thing.
Long-term health.
But you know,
okay, Gil, here I'm the experiment. Okay, I don't know long-term. It's been only 1 year. It will be 1 year next year. But I tell you, I perform better in every way possible. Not only on the bike, but also off the bike. I feel better. I'm lighter. My mind works better. So
Yeah.
I ask me again in a couple of years. But like, I don't know what you mean by long-term. 1 year, is that enough? And I've talked to people who have been vegan for 10 years.
yeah, and there's some cultures where you have to be like you're just
Right.
vegan,
Absolutely.
and there are good like they're
Or
healthy.
vegetarian at least. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and also with the morality question, there's a professor talking about morality, and he says the difference between tragedy, which is inevitable, what life is tragic, but the difference between tragedy and evil is like
unnecessary tragedy. Yes.
Right, it's like doing it
Yes.
for fun, like a cat would do to a mouse. That would be that would be evil. Versus
Absolutely.
tragedy is just like
Absolutely.
is just life,
And
right?
we have
So-
sports hunting, for example, right? The guy
Yeah.
that killed the lion in Zimbabwe, right? Remember the dentist that went
people
and,
got mad about
and,
that.
and he didn't even kill him with the first shot because he was using a bow and arrow to kill him, right?
Right.
And what so you have a boring life of a dentist, and to get some kick and excitement out of your life, you gotta get kicks out of going places in the world and killing things. That's the kind of excitement we get in our life, right? You don't do it to eat because you're starving.
Yeah, he's just like some
You
rich
do
guy
it. You
who-
do it just to show I'm a big macho guy.
He's, like, rich, too. He has a lot of
of
money to
course,
do it.
He's a dentist, whatever. But and to have some excitement in your boring life. Whereas my thing is like, find a better path that's more interesting for your life, so you
Yeah.
don't have to be bored with what you do, and
Yeah.
find that excitement in your daily routine. Do what you love, man. Clearly you hate being a dentist, all right? And you gotta put
likes
it
to
off on
hunt.
the animals, right? And you don't need the lion afterwards, but
No,
you
you can't
gotta
eat a lion.
pose, right? And that's
you
just
eat
one of hand.
Yeah.
Technically you can eat anything, but
I
like
guess so,
you
yeah.
don't eat the lion.
But nobody
right?
eats lions.
But they just take the head off and they stuff the
Yeah.
animal and make it like it's basically a show off. You go to their house and then you see the whole wall covered with animal heads or something, right?
Yeah. And
So-
he gets to be like, look, I killed all these guys.
Right. And I've seen houses like that, by the way, which
It
are like
implies such an insecurity to me.
It does, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you constantly have to prove yourself, So, but anyway, I'm just saying there's a lot of psychology there that we need to work out. There's a lot of issues with our daily work
Yeah.
and routine. But the point is, you
But-
don't do it to survive. You
But if
don't-
it's
you-
unnecessary, like if someone tells
Yes,
me
that's the point.
like they got to eat meat for protein, and then I'm like, oh, what are you eating? Chicken wings, bacon. Come on, bro. You just like bacon. Don't say like, hey man, health reasons. Okay, I gotta eat
wings,
meat.
the best
Chicken
protein,
wings?
most
It's like
efficient.
it's like you're eating chicken wings for that.
No,
like
but,
you
but
don't.
that's the whole point. People say, well, the Neanderthals, in the Paleo period, we used to eat a lot of meat. First of all, that's not exactly true because it depends where, right? We were omnivorous,
Yeah.
which means that in certain geographical locales where we had access to, let's say, wild sheep or whatever, we would eat lots of meat. And in other places, we would eat fruits and vegetables and even tree bark and other things
Tree
like
bark.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. And so
Well, all the old vegetables are like
But
garbage.
if you
Whenever
go-
they show old vegetables, like what they used to really be like,
Yeah, the
they're
heirloom
like
ones.
they have no like
they-
meat,
they-
no vegetable meat. You know?
but they even look different. They're not
look
so
different.
carrots are not red, for example.
No,
right?
they're not red,
like
and broccoli was
purple and-
weird.
Yeah, everything is different. But
Everything's different. Yeah,
but
everything's
the
like
point is,
hybrid.
if you go even before that, and if you look, because we've been in the Paleo period maybe for a couple 100,000 years, but before that, or maybe let's say out of the last 20 million years that we've been hominoids, 18 million or so, we were like sort of different levels of monkey state or ape stateness. And if you look at it from that point of view, actually throughout the longest part of our history, we've been eating mostly fruits, right?
Yeah, isn't that mostly what monkeys eat? Is fruits? They just eat bananas. That's the stereotype.
Not
anyway.
bananas, but like tree fruits or whatever.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. And
They do eat meat sometimes, though, eh?
Very,
only
Really?
It's
some species of monkeys and very rarely. And
Only the
here's
jerks.
Here's the other killer
Yeah.
thing to consider. What's the most perfect food for humanity that was designed by evolution over millions upon millions upon millions of
Whoa,
years?
you're not gonna say banana, are you? Are you gonna do that video where the guy's like, "Look, the atheist nightmare"? Have you seen
No.
that video?
No,
It's hilarious. But anyway, finish your point. I'll tell you.
it's milk. It's baby milk, like the milk that the baby
Right.
gets from the mother. And if you look from that milk, in the content, it's by far the lowest protein content of all the animal world,
Wow.
and one of the lowest fat contents of all the world. In fact, the vast majority of the stuff that's in baby milk doesn't even feed the baby, by the way. And people
It's mostly water, isn't it?
no. And people couldn't even figure out what is it for the longest time. And only recently we discovered that the most stuff that's in the milk actually goes to feed your microbiome. Because the microbiome,
Yeah, I've
so the
heard
mother feeds the microbiome in the baby's tummy so that it develops to be a healthy microbiome, so that the baby has protective immune system that kills all the bacteria from the other food.
Wow.
Right? So it's very low on fat, it's very low on protein. So high protein diet and high fat diets are not good for babies, and they're, by the way, not good for adults. By the way, that's the only milk that's good for us, and only until we're suckling babies and no later. Because let's say cow milk is designed to basically create a baby calf to be able to run on the savannah or on the pasture away from a
but
predator.
our milk doesn't.
We have
take you
very
that.
different milk requirements, very different everything. So and after we get out of suckling period, like we don't need that even anymore. Microbiome is very different from a cow's microbiome, so that's actually pretty darn bad for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we agree with that with the paleo people, by the way. There's a lot of agreement actually between the
there is a
paleo
lot
and
of
the
agreement.
vegans, right?
There is a lot of agreement.
So one thing you can do is you can start with the commonalities rather than the differences,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Don't eat processed food. Eat a lot of good vegetables. Don't drink milk. Don't eat cheese and all those things. Right?
Well, this goes back to even the religion science debate. I feel like meat eater or not, vegan has the same animosity where people are like, "What, you don't eat meat? What the hell's wrong with you?" And then the other side does that too, where it's like there's 80% that we can agree on.
I don't have the animosity because I was there, man. I was there. I was like, until a year ago, I was eating a lot of meat. Because first I didn't eat a lot of meat when I was growing up, and then when I came here in the West from the East, when I was a kid, my mom would buy a chicken, and she would make food for the whole family for 3 days with one chicken. Like she would make a soup with it, then she would put half of it in a rice dish, and then the next half in like a potato, and it would be me, my dad, and my mom that are going to eat 3 days from that one chicken, right?
Yeah.
So most of the food we ate actually was not the actual chicken, but the stuff around the chicken.
Yeah.
Then I came here and I started eating a lot of meat, like everybody else does, right?
Right.
And my wife's family is Italian, so lots of meat, lots of burgers. Her dad barbecues all year round.
Yeah, Italian. There's a lot of sausage and
Right.
stuff like that.
So I used to eat like 3 burgers or 3 steaks sometimes, on a sitting.
But
Like,
you feel better
I
now
was-
not eating
Are
it.
you kidding? I feel so much better.
there you go.
I never have
Sometimes
stomach
it's just
issues.
personal thing too, man. Like maybe you don't want to eat it, so you don't eat it.
I don't.
Gil's got a good comment here. He's saying talk to Dave Asprey, Bulletproof. That's a good point because Dave Asprey from
I've
Bulletproof.
interviewed Dave Asprey
you have?
on my show.
Wow.
Watch the interview. 2 things for Dave. No scientific backing of his claims in most cases. I took it easy on him during the interview, but watch that interview. He doesn't have a single peer review study to support his claims. Almost very little
But
science.
his claims on pro eating meat. He's pro eating meat. Is that it?
Hardcore, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and number two is watch, especially if you're a coffee drinker, how me and him were geeking out on the coffee stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you would see that even though he's very good about not having mold and all that stuff in your coffee, actually, when you buy coffee from him, it's already been pre-roasted. And you don't know when it was roasted, by the way. And the key for quality, one of the key elements of the quality of coffee is not only starting with a great bean, etc.,
Yeah.
but the roasting date. And that's why the best way to do that, by the way, is to home roast it. So I only buy fair trade organic green beans that I home roast at home, and we consume
Yeah.
those.
I've had it. It's good.
From 3
It's
to
really good
7,
coffee.
10 days maximum after the roasting. You try that
Yeah,
coffee, right?
it's fantastic.
Right. So watch that interview with Dave.
It tasted
Austin.
surprisingly light.
Yeah, I've done Dave too.
You've done Dave. All right, guy. Let's wrap up, man.
Okay.
We gotta wrap it up.
How do we wrap this
How
up?
do we wrap? Well, I was gonna say that that the same way that meat eaters and vegans, religious people, scientists, there's like all these commonalities that we can find, and this podcast is about in a polarized world of black and white, you need brown, and we did a lot of brown today.
All right. Very
of-
cool. I
People
don't
usually
think
call
I-
it gray, but I call it brown.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And I would say, yeah, my thing is, don't believe yourself, even yourself, 100%.
yeah. Question everything.
Question everything, especially yourself. Be open-minded, have beginner's mind.
Yeah.
At least those are my approaches, and I admit I don't always live to my ideals, but I do strive to. And me, for example, when I talk to paleo people or meat eaters, I have compassion because and experience and also awareness that I was there, man. I was doing exactly that just
Yeah.
like a year ago, right? So
I never ate
allow-
meat, so I don't care. But people who eat meat are like, how
You
dare
never
you?
ate meat?
I never ate it. I'm Hindu.
There you
born
go.
I was born like this.
There you go. So you're much better than me. Then
My mom brainwashed me since I was a kid not to eat it.
Well,
A lot of milk, though. A lot of milk.
yeah. Well, I'm
So-
Bulgarian, so I grew up on milk and cheese.
But when
basically.
I go back to India, I'm taller than everyone, though.
Yeah.
So what is that? Is that the milk? I don't know.
Well, that may be the hormones in the milk, maybe.
Probably the hormones. I'm getting
Right.
steroids. So listen, keep
Yeah.
drinking milk, I guess, is the message. What? No.
But if you want to play in the NBA,
Yeah, if you want to play in the NBA, exactly. Yeah.
We're getting some love here. As
What's up?
They feel that we're wrapping up.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Billy. Billy says, nice studio, Mish. Really enjoy hearing from Nick in your creation of environment. Thank you. Making his experience possible. I like how Nick consistently turns and speaks to us while looking at the camera as he is talking to you.
He's a pro.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, he's a pro, and
Yeah.
I'll get there. Gil, I feel lucky to be able to correspond with you, great folks. Thanks, buddy.
thanks
Thank
for
you
the
all
question,
for watching.
Gil. My respect and
Yeah.
and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. And that's our show, man. Support our sponsor, Glory of India. Amazing food. Speaking of all
if
the
you-
vegan food.
Yes, amazing food. I vouch for it. I ate there, and I'm gonna go eat there again.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you still haven't seen the original episode that I did with Dr. Amish Patel, Dr. Amish Patel, make sure you watch it. It's phenomenal. I myself,
I
I
worked
admit,
for-
I've seen it like 5 times beginning to end,
Yeah.
and I kill myself laughing
Yeah.
every time. That's
Listen,
how good it is.
It took like 2 weeks to write that. You better call me fucking doctor. God damn it. You call me doctor.
That's Dr. Level.
Yeah, that's doctor level. Guys, that's the show. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, guys. We love you.
Cool.
Goodbye.
Bye.